So let's dive into a very curious and surprisingly educational case that came up during one of my GPU benchmark sessions, pairing the monstrous RTX 5090 with the new Ryzen 9 9950X. Now, on paper, this combo looks like a dream team. You've got NVIDIA's flagship GPU capable of tearing through any modern game or workload, and AMD's latest powerhouse CPU that laughs in the face of bottlenecks. So you'd expect everything to run at full blast, right? Well, not quite. Let me walk you through what happened, and more importantly, why it's a great reminder that performance bottlenecks don't always come from where you think. Here's the situation. I installed the RTX 5090, a beast of a graphics card with a maximum power draw of around 600 watts, into my test bench alongside the Ryzen 9 9950X. I boot up, start throwing some heavy real-world gaming and productivity workloads at the system, and keep an eye on all the stats. GPU utilization? Hovering around 90%. Not 100%, not even 95%. Just stubbornly sitting there at 90%. And no matter what I did, different games, synthetic benchmarks, workload tweaks, it wouldn't budge. Now that might raise some eyebrows. Is the CPU holding it back? That's usually the go-to explanation in these scenarios. But here's the twist. The Ryzen 9 9950X is not the bottleneck. This chip is an absolute monster in multi-threaded tasks and more than capable of feeding frames to even the hungriest GPUs on the market. So what's the deal? Here comes the real kicker, the power supply, or more precisely, the amount of power available to the RTX 5090. See, this GPU is rated to pull around 600 watts at peak performance. And the power delivery system in this test bench? It maxed out right at 600 watts for the GPU. That means the RTX 5090 was already hitting the ceiling in terms of how much electricity it could draw. It wasn't slacking off, it was running up against its own electrical leash. Think of it this way. Imagine having a state-of-the-art blender that can make smoothies in 2 seconds flat. But your kitchen socket can only supply just enough power to make it run at 90% speed. The ingredients are all there, the blender's blades are razor sharp, but without more juice, it simply can't go full throttle. That's exactly what happened here. This turns into a really important lesson that a lot of enthusiasts overlook. Bottlenecks aren't always about your CPU or GPU not keeping up with each other. Sometimes the limiting factor is far less sexy, but just as critical. In this case, power delivery. You could have the most cutting-edge components in the world, but if your PSU, power supply unit, or power distribution can't keep up, you're leaving performance on the table. And that's something builders and upgraders alike need to keep in mind, especially as modern components become increasingly power-hungry. Let's dig a little deeper into the implications. First, it shows how power management is becoming a new frontier in performance optimization. Gone are the days where just slap in a bigger PSU was enough. With new ATX 3.1 standards, 16-pin connectors, and peak transient power spikes, power distribution needs to be just as finely tuned as your CPU voltages and RAM timings. Second, it raises interesting questions for future GPU designs. If the RTX 5090 is already brushing against the limits of current consumer-grade power delivery setups, how will NVIDIA and PSU manufacturers respond in the next generation? Will we need 1200-watt PSUs just for GPUs in 2026? And third, it's a reminder to always test your assumptions. Most people would look at 90% GPU utilization and jump to CPU bottleneck as the cause. But as we saw here, the real answer was more subtle and more physical. So, what's the takeaway? When testing high-end systems, you've got to think beyond the usual suspects. Yes, CPU-GPU balance matters, but so do thermals, BIOS settings, and, yes, power constraints. Performance tuning at this level becomes a delicate dance of voltage, wattage, and airflow, not just raw specs on a box. This RTX 5090 plus Ryzen 9 9950X combo taught me that even the fastest hardware on the market can be limited by something as simple as how much electricity it's allowed to sip. It's not just about how fast your components are, it's about how freely they can operate. So, next time your ultra-high-end rig doesn't hit 100% GPU utilization, don't be so quick to blame the CPU. It might just be the wall socket holding you back.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.